Welcome to another episode of Experience in Medicine. I know based on the feedback that people are looking forward to the next chapter in how to set up practice. In the first part of the chapter, I mentioned setting up the practice as a professional corporation, and the second part, I mentioned how to get funding in the practice. Even though I mentioned these, I mentioned them because they're the best recommendations. You can start practice without having a professional corporation. You can start practice with funding from any source. But we are telling, in this video, I'm giving the best recommendations for anybody who wants to start practice. And therefore, there will be alternative ways in which practice can be started, but this will be the best recommendation. Now we're going to go to the third part in starting a practice. The third part in starting a practice is how to be able to acquire patients. The fastest way really to be able to acquire patients is to take over a practice. That means as an old lady or an old gentleman who's retiring, as a doctor like me, who is already has a good panel of patients, and you pay a certain amount which can be calculated and by an actuarial scientist or by an accountant who specializes in practices, and then you pay a good fair market value for it. Even though I say here that it's a good way to acquire patients, in reality most doctors overvalue their practice, and in my opinion this way of acquiring a practice is going to eventually die off over time. However, in the current recommendations, I will recommend it as a possibility as long as the practice is being sold for a reasonable amount, especially when the person has no goal on continuing to practice. So that's one way. The way in which I started practice was entirely different, and I think I will mention it probably as a third option. But the second option is to initially start practice. Even though you want to start your personal practice, you should initially be a member of a hospital or another practice where you acquire privileges. No, the word is not privileges, where you are able to join healthcare insurances. The healthcare insurance system is dishonest. That's the best way to be able to explain the system, and people will wonder, how am I leveling a child with such forcefulness? It's because often enough when you want to join an insurance panel, many insurance panels tell you that their panel is full. And this is quite untrue a lot of times. When I started practice, for example, I came from Manhattan to Long Island. I was probably among the few, if there were 5 of us, who were qualified in internal medicine, pulmonary, critical care, and sleep medicine in 2000, which is 21 years ago. And when I applied to join many insurance panels, the insurance panel says they were full, which was incredible because I was probably among the few people who were board certified in sleep medicine in the entire Long Island. And not only that, critical care medicine, which I was also board certified in, I was also a minority in many departments of medicine. Northwell did not have a department of critical care medicine. Mount Sinai South North did not have a department of critical or a division of critical care medicine. And despite that, many of the insurance companies claimed their panel was full. And I thought that was completely, I know, and I still know, it still occurs now, was completely dishonest. So the system is designed for people already in practice, and therefore the insurance companies already have doctors who are on those, as medical directors of those insurance companies, who are resistant to bringing anybody new on. So if you are joining as a member of a group practice who already is a member of that insurance company, then it's very easy. But if you're a new person joining in, then it becomes difficult to be able to join that panel. The system should be corrected by regulation that any willing provider and that will solve the system, and that correction should be made at every state level and every federal level. For the system as it is now is completely dishonest. So the easier way is one, you join an insurance company when you are a member of a hospital, hospitalist group, or a hospital outpatient groups, because many hospitals, even when you're a member of hospitals group, they do not deliberately allow you to join the insurance company. Once you get on sufficient amount of insurance company, for example in New York, you have the 6 big ones: Medicare, Medicaid, Empire Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Aetna, United Healthcare, which also includes the Empire Plan, and then you have the Emblem, which includes HIP and GHI, and lastly, you will have the Oxford Healthcare Plan. So these are the big ones. There are many smaller ones which are managed Medicaid, which I would say, based on my experience, are not necessary for you to be able to start practice, but they are quite useful for you to make money. And once you're able to join these healthcare plans, wait. If it's necessary to wait 6 months to get on some of these plans, then that's fine. Medicare and Medicaid may not be a problem, but essentially, Medicare is a big payer and a reliable payer. Almost every insurance plan except GHI are not reliable payers, and they will pay at unreasonable rates, and therefore you cannot start practice with those ones. However, GHI pays a very poor rate, probably one of the worst in the entire country. So despite the fact that they pay quickly, they pay poorly. So you first of all have to get on insurance plans first. And once you get the insurance plans, which may take you up to a year, then you're ready to start. So we're going to go on to another topic later on, now that we've gone onto that topic, but I will recap. The first thing is a PC. The cost of a PC, I said averagely maybe $750. The second thing is funding. I said funding can be done in about 3 sources. Your personal funding, credit cards, which is fine, personal savings, family and friends, or small business administration, and then private funders, and lastly banks. So it's unfortunate that banks are the last people to fund the practice, and it tells you the state of banking in the United States. So I'll recap this, and on the next video we'll move on to the next topic that is important to be able to study practice.